Ever wondered who actually owns the stock market? You might think, well, I own my shares, right? You click buy, you see them in your account. But the reality is a lot more complex, and frankly, a lot more interesting. The name on the certificate isn't yours. It is a journey that takes us back to a chaotic time on Wall Street and leads us to the doorstep of some of the most powerful, yet little-known corporations in the world. Let's rewind to the 1960s. The stock market was booming. Everyone wanted a piece of the action, but there was a massive problem. Back then, stock ownership was proven by a physical paper certificate. Every time a stock was traded, couriers had to physically transport these certificates from the seller's broker to the buyer's broker. It was a system built for a much slower era. By the late 60s, trading volume exploded. The system simply couldn't keep up. Wall Street was literally drowning in paper. This was the paperwork crisis. Billions of dollars in trades were getting lost, delayed, or mishandled. Brokerage firms were working around the clock, with staff sleeping on cots in their offices, just to sort through mountains of paper. Some firms even went bankrupt. The entire financial system was on the verge of collapse. It was clear something had to change, and fast. The old way of doing things was dead. The solution was radical for its time. Dematerialization. Get rid of the paper. In 1973, Wall Street's biggest players came together to create a central depository, a single entity to hold all the stock certificates. This was the birth of the Depository Trust Company, or DTC. Instead of moving paper around, ownership changes would be recorded electronically on the DTC's books. The physical certificates would be locked away in a vault. This new system was revolutionary. It was efficient, it was fast, and it saved Wall Street from itself. But it also introduced a new layer of ownership. When you buy a stock today, your broker doesn't hold the certificate. This is the nominee name for the DTC. Your name isn't on the stock. Seed in companies is what you own is a beneficial interest, a claim on that stock that is held for you by your broker, who in turn has a claim with the DTC. Think of it like a coat check. You give them your coat, they give you a ticket. You own the coat, but they're holding it for you. The DTC is the ultimate coat check for the entire stock market. So, the DTC, which later merged with its clearing counterpart to become the DTCC, sits at the very center of the U.S. financial system. It processes trillions of dollars in securities transactions every single day. It's the invisible plumbing that makes everything work. It's a financial utility, owned by its users, the biggest banks and brokerage firms on Wall Street. This structure ensures stability, but also concentrates immense power and control within this single entity. If the DTCC were to ever have a problem, the shockwaves would be felt across the entire global economy. But the story doesn't end there. Who are the biggest players within this system? Who has the largest claims at the DTCC's giant table? This is where the modern giants of asset management come in. Firms like BlackRock and Vanguard. These companies don't just manage money for millions of individuals through ETFs and mutual funds. They are now the largest shareholders in most major corporations. Let's take Vanguard. It was founded by John Bogle with a revolutionary idea. Create low-cost index funds that simply track the market. Instead of trying to beat the market, you own the market. This philosophy exploded in popularity. Today, Vanguard manages trillions of dollars. When you buy a Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, Vanguard goes out and buys shares in all 500 companies in that index. They do this for millions of investors, aggregating all that buying power. The same goes for BlackRock. Originally a risk management firm, it grew into the world's largest asset manager, largely through its iShares family of ETFs. Like Vanguard, BlackRock manages trillions. Together, these two firms, along with State Street, are often called the Big Three. Because they manage so much money in passive index funds, they have become the top shareholders in nearly every major publicly traded company in America, and indeed, the world. Think about that for a second. In almost any major corporate boardroom, the representatives from BlackRock and Vanguard are the most important voices in the room. They own the largest stakes in competitors like Coke and Pepsi, Ford and GM, Apple and Microsoft. This isn't because they have some grand plan for world domination. It's the natural consequence of the passive investing boom. Millions of us decided it was smarter to own a slice of the whole market through an index fund. In doing so, we handed over our collective voting power to the managers of these funds. So, what does this mean? It means that a handful of people at these giant asset management firms have incredible influence over corporate America. They vote on board members, executive pay, and major strategic decisions. While they often say they act as passive stewards, their sheer size makes them anything but. They have teams dedicated to investment stewardship that engage with the management of the thousands of companies they own. Their decisions on how to vote their shares can shape corporate policy on everything from environmental issues to labor practices, from a paper crisis that nearly broke Wall Street. We've evolved into a system that is incredibly efficient, but also incredibly concentrated. Ownership has been abstracted, moving from physical paper in your hands to an electronic entry in a broker's ledger, which is itself an entry in the DTCC's master ledger. And the voting power associated with that ownership has been aggregated into the hands of a few massive asset management firms. So, next time you click buy on a stock, remember the incredible hidden structure that makes it all possible. You're not just buying a piece of a company. You're participating in a complex, fascinating system of ownership that has quietly reshaped the world of finance. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey through the hidden layers of the stock market interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into how our world really works. See you in the next one.